Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out the headlines we have for you today. Jim Cramer has a prediction. It may be right, unfortunately. We got that. We got Charles Hoskinson and David Schwartz. How about ISO Citibank timeline for 20022? Oh, yeah, baby. And guess what else we got? BIS gives the green light for banks to get into crypto. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $842 billion market cap for crypto. It's off by 0.1%. Good morning. Bitcoin, 16,700 plus. Ethereum, 1,100 and change. And we see the Tether market cap at 66.1 billion. We're watching it. XRP is 34 cents. It's now off by 10.7% on the 7-day, ladies and gentlemen. Look, it's tax time. It's the end of the year. Click the link for Clinton Donnelly below. Click the link for Coin Tracker. Make your life easier. Make his life easier. You can actually track all of the exchanges you have your crypto on, which probably should be narrowed down at this point. And you can follow that, dump that information into your personal information for taxes, or send it to your accountant. Click the link for Coin Tracker. Get a great deal exclusively right here, ladies and gentlemen, underneath the video. This, I am afraid, Jim Cramer may have it right. Buckle up. Gary Gensler has said it too many times, and the Congress, albeit on the right side of the aisle or the left side of the aisle, have given him the blessing to do it. Immediately, I can hear the Tom Emmers and the Patrick McHenrys of the world say, no, we have stood up to this opposition. Yeah, but words don't mean anything. It's a grown-up world out here. What actions have they taken to truly stop Gary Gensler from doing what he's doing? Jim Cramer says the runway for crypto platforms that are not in compliance with the U.S. standards is very, very short. Please be careful, as I suspect he says. A sweep is going to happen soon. It's been promised too many times not to be. This is one of the times I think Jim Cramer is actually telling you the truth the way it is. Over the weekend, if you haven't seen it, this is what I covered. It's a visual of what I see every time John Deaton has tried to tell us all what is going on with the SEC, and that Gary Gensler, in fact, is going to sue U.S. exchanges. And here's my diagram here. Shout out to John Deaton. Look, I'm not happy about this. Just showing you what I see. This is what regulation by enforcement is really about, as far as I'm concerned. SEC sues the U.S. exchanges. The U.S. exchanges are forced to delist, just like they did with XRP. Once the assets are delisted, the liquidity on the platform dries up. The business goes out of business, or company goes out of business because it dries up. And then you add in USD Tether being sued, a few subpoenas issued. 99% of cryptos go away. Hello. You with me now? Good morning. Retail investors are slowly being pushed into a corral where you're either left standing on exchanges outside the United States or on cold storage. And before they let the sun come out, if the SEC gets their way, and again I say, I don't care where you're at with your political beliefs, right or left, they've done nothing, which means in political speak, they've allowed it to happen. He has the blessing of Tom Emmer. He has the blessing of Patrick McHenry. He has the blessing of Maxine Waters and Elizabeth Warren and everybody else. I don't care how much they stand up and complain. We've been complaining too. They're there to do, not talk. That's the confusion. But at the end of the day, this is what they all want, whether they admit it or not. Because in fact, the majority of digital assets are operating as unregistered securities. I hate to agree with that fact, but the larger part of this market is in fact unregistered securities. And they're going to roll them into a digital asset securities framework and tuck it right into the securities framework because it's been around for decades and it works. The truth is, this is a horrible way to watch it all happen, but the truth is this is the quickest way to suffocate the liquidity for companies and projects that are operating off of the money and speculation in a market and not off of a corporate structure and public filings and disclosures the way a company would if they were going to go take a public exit IPO. Right? That's where we're at. Charles Hoskinson here keeps complaining, still got me blocked. I've never said a bad word to him. He's still talking trash on anybody who will listen. He says there is no point inviting toxicity into your life. It's abusive and pointless. Even in saying it now, there are mocking baby memes. Life is too short. Move on and cut it out. XRP provides no partnership or technical value. The community is toxic and petty. I can live without it. Charles, the last time I checked, and I'm going to speak to you like a grown-up, so there will be no cussing, there will be no name calling. I'm just going to speak to you like a grown-up, even though you haven't been acting like one for many months now. You know what I'm wondering? Is it because you gave your Ethereum to the secretary? And I'm wondering now, did she maybe sell it and give it back? That's not toxic. That's a reasonable question. You were at Ethereum. You left after 6 months and said you didn't like the way things were happening. Wink, wink. But because we talk about it, it's a problem for Charles. Well, I'm sorry to discomfort you, Charles. But the reality here is that XRP has more partnerships and customer relationships than currently Cardano has. And I'm excited about Cardano and what it has to offer. It's your temperament over the last couple months towards this community that's out of whack. David Schwartz says here, you may want to wait a few days, read this tweet back, and think about whether you're sure that's the combination of things you really want to say. And there goes that point. Here's a great point. ISO20022 migration by Citibank. Oh, we're going to want this. Yeah. Come on in. We know it's called a coexisting phase. That's how Swift refers to it. You can see they have it right here. Over the next 2 years, starting in 2023 to 25, will be the coexisting phase of rolling everyone over to the new system. Which means, as Executive Director Victoria Cleland from the Bank of England said, there will be a period of time where the traditional payment rails run in parallel to the new payment rails. Should anything go wrong, they could easily refer right back to the existing payment rails. March 2023 for SWIFT and the Eurozone. April 23, UK, Ukraine, you name it. September 22, South Africa. When I see that March and April there, I know that the UK wants to be a crypto hub, and I see March and April being a hot timeline for this coexisting phase to really get off and going here. Boy, does that make me really excited. It just so happens that we may see the case end right around that same time for Ripple and XRP as well. Huh. Isn't that interesting? This is phenomenal. The BIS, the Bank of International Settlements, and shout out to Ty King for this one. Banks just got the green light to go crypto. And it's true. The Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, the prudential treatment of crypto asset exposures. Let me give you just a few things here. We're not going to go through the whole document. You can breathe a sigh of relief. But I do want to show you a few things here. And we're going to start right here on page 5. I've read the whole thing, and I encourage you to do it. Go right to Twitter. You can read the whole thing, and you should. But what I'm going to show you here is this. The prudential treatment of crypto asset exposure. This is for banks. They're putting in the guidelines, and as we have covered, there will be a group 1 of crypto assets. These group 1s will be the ones that meet in full of a set of classification conditions. Group 1 crypto assets include tokenized traditional assets. Group 1A, crypto assets with effective stabilization mechanisms. Really? Group 1B, crypto assets are subject to capital requirements based on risk weights of underlying exposures as set out in the existing Basel framework. Now, if you're a Group 2 crypto asset, those that fail to meet any of the classification conditions, as a result, they pose additional and higher risk compared to Group 1 crypto assets and consequently subject to a newly prescribed conservative capital treatment in addition to any tokenized traditional assets and stablecoins that fail the classification conditions. Group 2 includes all unbacked crypto assets. A set of hedging recognition criteria is used to identify these Group 2 crypto assets, where a limited degree of hedging is permitted to be recognized. Group 2A, those where hedging is not recognized as Group 2B. So you can see there are these different classifications and groupings that have been set up for these assets. Now, if I just quickly move you here, you can see Group 1 meets classification conditions, tokenized traditional assets like bonds, stocks, things that, there's all, which, by the way, that's what PolySign's doing. Tokenizing everything that's being bought and sold in the world right now, stocks, bonds, and so forth. Thought you should know, links underneath the video. Tokenized traditional assets. This is the BIS, ladies and gentlemen, and stable coins that fall under the Group 1B. Well, this is interesting. Stable coins under a Group 1 meets the classification conditions for Basel and BIS. Capital treatment, generally based on existing Basel framework. Now I tell you, and this is obviously the list of the ones that are like, not so much, right? You can play with them, but they want 1,250% collateral, risk collateral, all of this. It's like, wow, right? But let's take a look at this. It's right here. So this breaks down more of the conditions, classification conditions. You get it. But what I want to show you is this footnote right here, footnote 2. In certain jurisdictions, bank issued tokenized payment assets that are backed by the general assets of the bank and not by a pool of reserve assets may be referred to as stablecoins. I'm going to read that part again. This means something to me. In certain jurisdictions, bank-issued tokenized payment assets that are backed by the general assets of the bank and not by a pool of reserve assets may be referred to as stablecoins. I just want to make that clear because there's a difference of what they're saying there, and not by a pool of reserve assets. So there is a clarification difference between the assets that are general assets of the bank and not by a pool of reserve assets. This is getting interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Stablecoin, stablecoin, stablecoin. Isn't that what just about a year ago the World Bank said about XRP and XLM? Stablecoins for cross-border payments. Now, the question is will they be backed by general assets of the bank and not a pool of reserve assets may be referred to as stablecoins? Will we see general assets from the banks offered up to represent something like a stablecoin XRP or XLM? This is the World Bank, ladies and gentlemen. And this is the BIS who just gave the green light for a heightened prudential treatment of crypto asset exposure for the banking world. Not just the banking US, the banking world. Something is coming. And I leave you with this. Remember this? Remember this when Bank of China said, in fact, that they believe that the established powerhouse SWIFT is a positive pace of innovation accelerating new competitors such as Ripple. Ripple needs to cooperate with SWIFT. This is the Bank of China. Ripple needs to find the right position and form a differentiated advantage for cross-border payments. Ripple and SWIFT promote each other and develop and work together as their suggestion. SWIFT, constrained by its traditional system structure, SWIFT remittance lacked timeliness. Cross-border payment information chain is long, easy to cause information loss. Emergence of a Ripple triggered the catfish effect, which caused a ripple in the field of cross-border payments. SWIFT accelerates launch of new products such as SWIFT GPI, SWIFT Go, and will promote ISO20022, which is going in its coexisting phase in the first Q1, Q2 of next year, and in some areas has already begun. This is the Bank of China now, and don't forget about BRICS while we're reading all of this. BIS is getting the green light for a heightened prudential of crypto assets in the banking system. China refers to Ripple as like they need to be working with SWIFT. They're like the new version of SWIFT. And then they go on to say it should be carefully considered as a commercial bank when talking about Ripple as a Native American fintech company. And then they say this, the Ripple coin, XRP, which threatens financial security and social stability. Well, that's how important they say that is. And certain potential risks to maintain the stability of XRP, which is Ripple. On the one hand, a stable exchange rate is formed by anchoring various legal currencies in reality, such as the US dollar, a basket of currencies, or a combination of commodities. The currency has a stable support, preferably a one-to-one reserve, and the safety and liquidity of the reserve must be guaranteed. Which takes me back to here, footnote 2. Is that really referencing some of what we're talking about here? I don't know. Bank-issued tokenized payments assets that are backed by general assets of the bank and not a pool of reserve assets may be referred to as stablecoins as well. I tell you what, it may be Monday, but it's a fun day. With the world of crypto crashing down around all of us, say what you want to say about price. But I've never known so much about something that I've had my money in, and I'm not going anywhere. And I'm not trying to convince anyone. This is not financial advice. It's my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.